Good evening. Oh no! Let's start that again. Good afternoon. It's all right. I don't know if I'm coming or going, what day of the week it is. Good afternoon. Hello. Welcome to day 3 of the Tring Book Festival. Thank you so much for coming to this wonderful event. Can I welcome to the stage the best and the second best bakers in Tring?
Are we live? We're live. Ooh.
Testing.
Welcome everybody to the Tring Book Festival. When I told my mum I was coming to do this today, she went, "Oh my goodness, Nadiya, off the Bake Off, she was my second favourite." Welcome to the stage, Nadiya Hussain. Thank you so much for joining us
Thank
today.
you, I love your mum.
Oh, she's brilliant. She just caught herself just before she said.
She sounds like my mum. So when I did Bake Off, and you know that moment where you come out with the cake.
Yeah.
And my mum was looking at me, and then she looked at Tamal, and then when I'd come and sat down, hadn't won yet, she said, "Oh, I like your cake, but Tamal's is so much better."
Yeah.
Like,
mums are savage. Mums are savage.
Thank you, mother. And mine is Indian, so she's worse. Like, they do not hold back.
No. My mother's way of saying gained weight is, "Gosh, you look healthy."
Yes.
Thanks,
yes.
Julie. Thank you so much, and thank you for this book. Now, you will have noticed something at the front of the table here. We won't acknowledge what's at the back of the cake.
There's a story. Be a thumbprint.
There's a thumbprint. If you were the lady in the Range Rover who nearly hit me this morning, thank you very much. There is a thumbprint. But me being a baker, I was gifted this book. It's absolutely wonderful. It's a beautiful book and it's a lovely read, but there are actually some recipes in it.
Yes.
Really good recipes.
Yeah.
And this is your red velvet cake.
Yes.
And backstage we've got are you ready for this? Coffee glazed focaccia.
Yes.
Yes, coffee glazed focaccia. It's exactly what it says on the tin. It is absolutely beautiful. And yes, I did eat 4 pieces with the gluten intolerance, and I'm going to pay for that later. But it was wonderful. So I'm going to ask you this question because it's a question that I get asked. Inspiration. Yeah. Where does it come from?
I think for me, it's very much about being British, being Bangladeshi. I think there are lots of layers that make me who I am. And so I think it's slightly because I think firstly, I'm not a purist. You know, I'm a firm believer in that a recipe should be experimented with and changed. So you can, it's for me, because cooking and baking isn't just about feeding, it's also my expression of art. So, you know, I love the idea that I can take something that I really like and then change it around a little bit. And I genuinely do believe that because I'm British and Bangladeshi, there's this kind of grey area where us first generation Brits sit, where we kind of like, oh, I like a bit of that and I like a bit of that. Now, don't get me wrong, I can take a British recipe and Twitter, the cesspit that Twitter is, will destroy me and say, oh, well, you can't do that to our Cornish pasties. And then there's my mum, who is Twitter all rolled into one. And if there's something that if there's something that I've written, she'll look at it and say, nope. I'm like, yeah, it's done now. It's in the book. She's like, but you did it wrong. So like, so I live in that gray area where I can put things together that feel right to me. And I think that's why I can do things like coffee glazed focaccia.
I read it 3 times and I thought, okay, hang on. Which section is it in? Is it savoury? Is it sweet? It's everything.
Yeah.
It's everything.
Somebody once said to me, do you write your recipes while you're drunk? I don't drink. Imagine if I did. Just imagine.
Well, I'm not drunk now. Why did I have to think that? Am I drunk now? No, I didn't.
Why did you have to think about that?
I don't know, because I was trying to think what time of day it was. No, Sunday. No. Yeah, drinking tends to muddy the water with recipes.
Right.
Yeah, no, I'm the same. I tend to keep a clear mind, a clear head. But I did add some sea salt That's all I added on top because it was really, for me, it was sugary.
Yeah.
But that's, I suppose for you, that's how you take something and you develop it, you evolve it, and you've got a family at home who are your biggest critics.
Yes.
No, nothing is worse than trying to impress a mother who cannot be impressed.
Yes.
Ever.
Oh my goodness. I mean, I've stopped. I don't even try anymore. I just turn up, I eat. I don't even take her anything anymore. I just don't bother. I don't bother because she always thinks that she can modify everything.
Does she know about this?
Oh, she doesn't care. No, genuinely, it's humbling. It is genuinely humbling to be a part of a family where my job is just my job.
Yeah.
And they don't, like my mum, I give her the book and she has the collection and it will proudly sit in her bookcase.
Glass cabinet.
Yeah, like that's it. It looks nice. She's like, oh, that's a nice colour. That's about as far as we go. She doesn't open them. She doesn't look at them. She doesn't read them. She doesn't look at anything that I do. She watches the shows though. She doesn't read the books, but she does watch the shows. But yeah, and if I'm sure she criticizes them, but I'm like, la 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 la.
This is why Twitter doesn't affect us. I can read Twitter trolls all day. No, you've got nothing on Judy.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
Because she knows when I'm vulnerable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She gets you when you're down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But would you say your mum is sort of your food inspiration as well? Does it come from her? Is she a cook?
My mum is an amazing home cook, like amazing. I kid you not, she could cook with her hands tied behind her back. She's an incredible cook. And she's always been a housewife, so she cooks at home. And even now, she works a full-time job. You go to her house and she will have cooked 6, maybe 7 curries on a night. Yes. I mean, how? I mean, like sometimes I feel like I have to surgically remove myself from her house because...
You're going there later, right?
I am going there later.
I'm following the car home.
I know. Yeah, she cooks and then she's always like, we always have a go at her and say, you mustn't cook. And there I am, sort of eating and putting stuff in Tupperware, ready to take home.
Stealing,
goes,
just
this is why I cook. But she's an amazing cook. My dad ran restaurants his whole life. So yeah, he ran restaurants badly, can I just say, his whole life, because he's the guy that if you're a regular and you come in, he's like, oh, that's on the house. Oh, that's, like he looked after everyone. Everyone knew him and he looked after everyone. So his cooking was delicious in the restaurant. So yeah, I grew up in a house where cooking and eating and being together was a big thing for us.
Yeah.
And there was a comfort because I suppose being an immigrant, the only thing that was felt like home. The only thing that felt like home was the cooking and it was the food. So I grew up around 2 amazing cooks, but my nan was she still is an incredible cook. She cataracts and can barely stand up straight, but she will tell you if it doesn't taste right. Incredible. So she, so the women certainly in my life, my nan, my mum, and my sisters, they're all great cooks. And so they've played a big part in my love for being in the kitchen.
Brilliant. I'm exactly. Mine are a little bit more critical though.
Are they? Yes.
Yeah.
Mine are. I mean, my kids on a night when I give them dinner, they're like, "Oh, this is." I'm like, "We are not on Bake Off. We are not on Bake Off. This is dinner. It's not a restaurant. Eat it or get lost."
Yeah. There's no gingham tablecloth here.
No.
If you don't like
there
it, you
is
can
no
leave.
gingham here. No way. But sometimes it starts off that way and I can feel it. I'm like, yeah, not happening today, please. Just eat your dinner and go.
Kids are the sassiest. They come up with the funniest little quips that they don't think about. And the one I usually get, and is this the final?
Yeah.
Apparently not.
Yeah.
And you're 9. Right, okay. No, but you, so obviously you're a mum to 3 incredible children.
Yeah.
Are you passing that down? Are they absorbing everything that you teach them?
It's really weird because it's not, because they see me do it every day, and our kitchen is definitely like the beating kind of central point of our home. We spend a lot of time in the kitchen. And that's mostly me saying, could you please unload that dishwasher, somebody? But they've become quite, because it's kind of, it feels, it's not a scary place. It's somewhere, when we grew up, my dad said, come on, learn to use a knife properly, learn to mop the floor. All of that was really important. And that's something that I've always tried to teach my children. It's like, to find confidence in the kitchen. And like my eldest loves cooking, like he can do a really good chicken curry, like he can get in there. I could leave him a little note and say a bolognese tonight, and he will happily come back from school, do a bolognese and feed his dad. My husband is a dreadful cook. Oh my goodness, the last time he cooked, he boiled eggs, and that's not even cooking, that's just boiling water and eggs, right? He forgot about the eggs. And water evaporated, and then he was in the office, and he heard a loud bang, and there were 4 eggs in the ceiling. And then I come in after work, and I'm like, and he's there with the wallpaper scraper.
Yeah.
Right, so obviously gone out and dug that out. The spatula wasn't enough to get that egg off the ceiling, and there he was on top of the island going. I was like, what happened? Nothing. Nothing happened. We're not talking about this. So he's a dreadful cook. And you know, when I say anyone can cook and find your confidence, he's the only person in the world.
There's just some things that people shouldn't do.
Yeah. He's great at IT. Wonderful.
Oh, perfect, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, great, you do your thing. But my kids, you know, like my little girl loves baking, loves being in the kitchen, loves baking. She helps me out in the kitchen, does all the we do all the sandwich fillings on a Sunday. We did that this morning. So she's really helpful in the kitchen and really confident. And she's getting better at using different knives. And my second son doesn't care about eating, doesn't care about being in the kitchen, but he can do the dishes. So
that's fine. Everybody has a job.
Exactly, it's a win.
But I think interesting that you've used the word confidence a couple of times, and I know that if I could do one thing, and that was done for me, is teach confidence, not necessarily a skill, but just be confident in that kitchen and say, okay, well, let's add a bit of spice, or let's chop this onion. You know, kids, I was using a knife when I was 6 years old because, you know, we had jobs to do. So if you don't teach them, I think if you make it a fearful place, that's then how you end up with people who eat, I was going to say beans on toast, but somebody out there probably looking at me going, that's what I eat. Not anymore, you.
No, but I think with children, I think often what the kitchen is considered, I think often it's considered the space for grown-ups. It's a space where grown-ups cook, and I think that's what we have to we have to break that pattern. We have to allow kids to believe that that's their space too. And whether that's a stool so they can look over the countertops or learn how to do the washing and know where everything goes. For me, that's always been really important. And I think that's what's given my children confidence, is because it's never solely been my space, it's been our space. And from the moment they could sit up in their high chairs, they have been using knives to, you know, chop. You know, even I used to give them butter to chop because it was something easy to chop, that would just give them some confidence. Don't get me wrong, my kids still can't eat butter by the handful. and that's something to do with chopping butter on a high chair. But it's giving them confidence, and that's really important. And actually, having done this for 6 years, I've seen it's not just children. There's a generation of young adults who haven't been given confidence in the kitchen. And, you know, I get people buying books saying, this is for my 20-something-year-old, and I want them to become confident in the kitchen and learn how to kind of navigate in there comfortably. And that is really important. That's
incredibly important. I can't remember if it's Gen Z or, because we're millennials, I think. You and I are we're millennials, and then Gen X and Y, Z. But that generation can TikTok, they can program, they can do HTML, all this coding stuff. They're incredibly intelligent, but they lack some of the basic skills. And that's, I mean, I was brought up by my mum, who taught me to bake and cook. My grandmother taught me to sew and knit, which got laughed at, but, you know, I'm the one making my own clothes and I can fix my clothes. So these are the skills that we are losing. But, and I hate to say the positive side of last year, but because we must find one, is that suddenly we found ourselves all back at home going, what's in this room? There's an oven, and there's flour, and then, you know, all this. So last year we saw an influx of people baking again, but it started taking people back into that kitchen and learning to bake again, learning to cook again. Everyone except my husband. Everyone except your husband. But there's some, you know, that's a miracle. We need to be grateful that he didn't. Yes, I think so, Also grateful that you didn't reprogram the laptop. So, like I said, stick to your strengths. That's fine. I want to talk about Bake Off for you and for your children, and the positive side of baking, or Bake Off, for me is I've seen children's confidence grow so much, and I love watching children come up to me talking about all the baking that they've done, and their parents stare at me like, no idea what they're talking about, but these children have been watching the show, and they've watched you. You're a hero to them, but you are, because, you know, they see you on there competing to be the best baker, and you know, you went on and you won it. Have you found that? Do you find that children? Oh my goodness, yeah, all the time. Like, I'm always, it's not just, I mean, Bake Off is an institution, isn't it? Like, everybody watches Bake Off, and it's something that, and what's lovely is it's one of the very few things that you can watch on the telly that
everyone in the family can watch together, children, every generation can sit and watch Bake Off together. I mean, Strictly is becoming slightly little, I'm like, can I watch this with my 11-year-old? There are moments, you know, sometimes even on Strictly.
And look at the ceiling.
And yeah, and don't look away, and now you can look. Yeah, there are moments even on Strictly, and I think that's quite wholesome television.
Yeah.
But even then, I'm like, but Bake Off is one of those. I think every generation in a family can sit down and watch it. And there is something, I don't know what it is about a show like that, where watching amateur bakers fall apart is interesting television. How is that even good telly? But it is. It's wonderful because it makes you feel like you are in the kitchen with somebody that, you know, whether it's yourself, whether you're a nervous baker or an accomplished baker, you feel an attachment to the people in the tent because they feel just like you and me.
They are. They're just normal people.
We are, and that's what I think I've found, that whenever I've done events or book signings and I've met people in the street, there's always someone who says, oh, my kid loves you, or my daughter loves you, or my son loves you, and they watch you. And my husband's friend, his young son who's 15, he's doing home ec, and he said that I'm his inspiration and that he bakes, and that's incredible. That's a whole other generation of children who are going to grow up, because there's a missed generation somewhere where they just didn't get in the kitchen, and I think now we're in that place where children are happy to be in the kitchen, boys and girls alike, and that's important.
And I think we all remember the final speech you gave at the end of the last episode. It's that it resonated with everybody, and everybody suddenly went, "Ha, she's right. You know, we can do it. We can at least try."
Yeah.
All right. Last question before I go on to your last question about Bake Off. Before I go on to your new one, do you ever sit there and watch it and say, "Come on, guys"? I don't.
What's all that flour on the puff pastry?
And tidy up. Come on.
For goodness sake.
Yeah.
I haven't watched it this year. I haven't watched it this year. I've saved it all up so me and my daughter can watch it together. Because it's just, I'm so busy. It's hard to find time to watch, but I will watch it this year. But yeah, it's a weird one, isn't it? Because we were talking about it earlier, and it can feel quite, because it's such a big part of your life, it is slightly triggering. Sometimes when the music, I know.
I was worried Ben was going to play it as we walked out.
No.
And as soon as I hear it, I can feel my blood.
My blood pressure goes.
The music was composed to sound stressful. Like, so why would you play it?
Yeah, I found it I mean, when we were on Bake Off, Paul would put it on his phone and walk through the tent. Yeah. And did he do that to you?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my goodness. So I was like, why are you doing that? That's not fair. We're already really stressed out. But there is a moment when you watch people in the tent the year after you've been on it, and you're like, what are you doing in my tent? That's my tent.
Yeah, it's a really, because admitting that, because people ask, what's Paul really like, and what's the tent like? I think, you mean my tent?
Yeah.
And Nadiya's tent.
And my tent.
Yeah.
It's weird, isn't it?
Because the first time you watch the first season, you think, that's my bench.
Yeah.
Could you just give it a wipe or something?
Yeah. And I was there week 2
in
that spot. It's weird because you have so many, some of the biggest, most poignant memories for me were during that kind of 10-week stint for me. Yeah. So it's really weird watching it back.
They do say, it has been compared to the entire process of, say, from January, when I first got my first phone call, to the very last episode. That 10-month period of your life is the equivalent of writing a degree, doing so all of the recipe planning, all of the testing, everything that you go through is the equivalent of doing a degree, a dissertation, and writing a degree.
What they don't tell you is you age 10 years in those 10 months as well.
And you're very poor.
Yeah. Yes.
So we calculated our expenses.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, could buy a small family car with what we spent.
Small family car, a nice one.
Yeah, a nice one.
21 plate.
Yeah, not electric, but
Yeah.
So, I'm sure someone else is going to ask a question about the tent, but I would like to talk about your new TV show. So Thursday, 8:30 BBC2?
Yeah, 11th. 8:30 BBC2, Fast Flavour. It's I'm so excited because again, this is another one that I've done during the pandemic, and it was just such a joy to write. And it's like, I always kind of think, what would I like to write, and what would I like to see in a cookbook? And for me, this book was all about it is all about flavor. And it's those moments, it's chaptered into things like sweet, nutty, earthy, cheesy, spicy. So like, it's when you come in on a night and then you're like, do you know what, I really fancy something cheesy. Like, there's an entire chapter.
Every night.
Every night. Yeah. There's an entire chapter dedicated to cheesy things and spicy things.
That's how you write a book.
And herby things.
Yeah.
And ultimately, like, that, for me, it's like, this is the book. If it's the book I want to read, it's the one I want to write. And so it was a joy to write, and then to film we did the whole thing quarantining and like with the crew, and we lived, I mean, it was lovely, don't get me wrong, there was a beautiful kitchen and there was a swimming pool right next to it, so it's like cook, swim, cook again, so it was lovely. But you know, it's hard work putting a cookery show together, and I have to leave home, leave the kids behind, but you do become a family with the crew, and you just, it's a wonderful way to be able to share the recipes with everyone.
Yeah, I can't wait for that one. So Thursday, BBC2.
8:30 BBC2.
8:30 BBC2.
6 episodes.
Set your timers. 6 episodes. Okay,
Yeah.
set your timers, everybody. Favorite recipe?
That's tough. Okay, I'm gonna pick one. I think I would say probably the Bombay burgers, and I do that on the show as well. So it's a veggie burger made out of Bombay mix. Yes, my friend. And I'm not drunk.
Does anybody? Okay, Tring folk. Remember the Gibraj? Yeah. That's our local Indian, one and only in the restaurant just down the road. The Gibraj. Bombay mix was from a young age. I was the kid that stole it off the bar. I'm really sorry.
Oh.
Yeah, Bombay mix.
Oh yeah. So burgers made out of Bombay mix.
Hang on, I'm going to find it here.
Yeah.
I'll find it here.
Yeah. And then I did that on the show as well, which was a lot of fun. What else would be my favorite recipe? I don't know. Have you found it?
Well, a 1-pan cheese and egg sandwich. Look at her face.
I mean, it's cheese. It's joy.
That's genuine joy.
Yeah, well, that's what food should do. And I think we live in a world where we get told so often, you can't do this, you shouldn't do this, this isn't allowed. And it's starting to seep into food. People are starting to tell us that you can't do this, you can't do that. What I want for my children, especially, is I want them to love food, I want them to enjoy food and be happy, not have issues with food. I want them to be able to enjoy it and have balance in their life. And for me, you know, my kids, as much as they love being in the kitchen, they love eating, and that's all I want for my kids. You know, they don't need another hang-up. They're teenagers, for goodness sake. They literally have a hang-up about everything. Last thing I need is for them to have a hang-up about food. What have you found? This
was the one that, because I've also made, again, I'm going to say coffee glazed focaccia.
Yes.
Probably my new favourite thing. This one, donut lamb burgers.
Yep.
So,
lamb burger. Sandwich between ring donuts.
Ring donuts. And now I know firsthand, I've eaten something similar in America, and you look at it and go, that's not right. Come on, guys. And then you eat it and go,
it's all kinds of wrong and right at the same time. And it's just, that's what I love though. That's what I love about cooking. It's about throwing the rule book out and saying, you know, actually, because for me, as somebody who kind of straddles that grey area, you know, I get told so often. I did a Cornish pasty once on a show, and the Cornish pasty police were all over me.
They exist.
And they were like, they do, and they're like, oh gosh, she took the Swede out and she put apple in instead. But you know, people don't want to prepare a Swede. It's boring and difficult.
Yeah. So
let's put apple in instead, because we always have them at home. And they tasted epic. They were out of this world, and they were like all over me on Twitter, like, oh gosh, she did that. And then I looked them up. Can I say I looked them up? And they were doing chicken tikka, Cornish pasties. I was like, yeah. I don't know how traditional that is.
I was going to say, you want to moan about food combinations? Go shopping at Iceland.
Yeah.
And then come back to me with your apple and your Cornish pasty. No, I have to admit, I'm like you. We don't food shame. There's no such thing as food shaming. No. Because if you do, the only thing I have is I have food hates. Certain things I hate. And I hate the fact I hate things.
Do you hate things? Like what kind of things?
I'm just going to check that you haven't put it in the book.
What is it? Tell me what is it.
Marzipan. Even saying it's made my neck go cold.
Really?
It's one of those,
really?
Yeah. It's who said that? Who said it's disgusting? Yes, she's right. Listen to her.
Like, do you like is it the marzipan that has that strong almondy flavour? Marzipan. If I say that, is it just going to keep going? Okay. We have his Achilles heel.
Yeah, well, you know who found it out about that was Paul. And I had to make Stollen in the tent once.
I love Stollen.
I was kneading dough and I turned and he went, here you are. And they've got me on camera going,
oh!
It was, yeah. I don't know what, I know why. Do you want to hear the story why?
Was it a childhood thing?
Yeah.
I thought so.
When we were little, we had Yorks used to do jellied fruits and marzipan fruits. Remember those? And they looked very similar. And they were beautiful, you know.
Yeah, I've seen those before.
And my granny would get a box every year from her sister for Christmas, and I was allowed the jellies, and Granny would eat them.
Yeah.
And I remember one day going, and I was a very corpulent child, and I'd found the plate.
Is that the sound you made as
Yeah,
well?
literally did,
Okay,
yeah. And I found the plate of the jellies, and I went, 1, 2, 3, 4. They were the marzipans.
Right. It's because you had too many. No?
I
love marzipan.
But do you know what my favourite dessert is? Bakewell tart.
How bizarre. Okay, that's just weird.
Yeah, but I'm one of those people that likes ham and pineapple, but not ham and then pineapple. Like, you know that weird sort of dynamic of like, no. Okay. And also green peppers. It's an underripe pepper.
Okay, I get that.
Let it finish.
I get
Not
that.
that much of a hurry, are
Yeah,
we?
I get that. I get that.
What about, have you got any food hates?
No. I tell you what I don't eat a lot of. Cake.
No, I don't.
I really don't. I really don't eat loads of cake.
No, I have to admit, I baked, no.
It's one of those things, isn't it? Like when you bake
It's boring.
loads, it's just like, I love feeding people. I'm a feeder. So it's like, if I bake cake, it'll go to the neighbors, the kids will eat it. I'm a pusher. I'm like a cake pusher. I'm like, have some cake, have some cake, have some cake. But I don't physically, I mean, I'll try something.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't, like, give me a samosa any day. Yeah.
Do you get asked to judge a lot of competitions?
Yes, I do.
It's really hard, isn't it?
Yeah.
When there's 27 cakes and you're like,
But imagine if it's 27 cakes with marzipan in. Really?
I have judged for what's the one in September? One we have at September coffee morning, Macmillan.
Okay.
Macmillan coffee morning. And there were about 30 cakes, so you do take little bits. And I did see one, and I knew it had, I had been pre-warned, it had marzipan in it. I literally took a corner and went, gosh, that's delicious.
No.
They didn't win, but they didn't lose. I wasn't going to knock points off because of the
Can you eat an almond croissant?
Oh, I could eat 7.
Okay.
I could not tell you what it is about marzipan. It just... Yeah.
Maybe the gorge as a child.
I think it's that memory of it.
Yeah.
And I bought what I thought was fondant once, and I unwrapped it to roll it out as a cake. Unwrapped it. I was kneading it, going, "Why is it great?" I'm trying to turn the tap on my elbow, going, "Oh, I can smell it."
Really, that bad?
Now I feel like you found my weak spot.
Oh, don't worry, I will be using it. I have mileage now.
You know.
Yeah, now I have mileage.
I can't believe you haven't got any weak spots.
No,
I wouldn't.
No, I don't really. I wouldn't tell you anyway.
No.
Not anymore.
All right, food favourites then.
Oh, food favourites. Oh my goodness. See, if I was going to have a dessert, it would be Eton Mess. Like if I was going to like pavlova, Eton Mess, that's kind of my go-to if I was going to have something sweet. But like favourite, see, I love crisps. That's my thing. I cannot buy crisps. If I buy them, I will eat them.
So if people in this town will have seen me. I went to Tesco earlier to buy some crisps for this evening for snacks. And I was walking down the high street doing this.
Yeah.
So in fact, I've probably still got some down there.
Yeah, crisps.
Crisps.
That's my thing. Like that's.
No, I can see that.
Yeah. But have you ever tried a cheese and onion, packet of cheese and onion crisp, throw in a pickled onion, rustle it around in there, and then you get this kind of really salty cheese and onion, pickle onion.
Yeah, I think we might be pregnant.
Yeah, we might be.
I do feel like that sometimes when, with food pairings as well, I do sometimes eat some stuff. I think, I'm glad I live on my own, because if I was caught doing this,
Let's just put it in a cookbook.
Yes.
Yeah. Like I do it, and then I'm like, oh my goodness, this is so going in a book somewhere.
Yeah.
Always.
I have weird food pairings and combinations. I think, well, instead of being ashamed of this, turn it into a cake.
Yeah, exactly.
And then
Exactly.
there's no more shame.
Yeah.
We're going to have some questions from you guys in a couple of minutes, so get ready. But before anybody asks, Paul Hollywood is miserable, all right? That's what he's doing. No, I'm joking.
Yeah,
it's our one question. It's a constant question we get asked every single time.
I get asked all the time, is he really that good looking? I'm like, he's not my type.
Right, well, from Savage in the front row.
No, but I think we get a lot, it's quite, I think people ask the question with a lot of enthusiasm as if, oh, is he really that good looking? And they get quite happy and they really want to hear that he really is. And I'm just like, he's not my type. No.
Yeah, it's...
Your type? Okay.
It's just no. I'm not going to attack him. That's not what today's about. Today's about food. No, it's yeah. It's one of those. Well, you're 6 years in. I'm 4 years in. And I think, what different answer can I give this time? And the answer is private. He's a very private person. That's what I will say. And no, we don't all hang out together in some big tent in a field somewhere.
No, that's not normal, guys.
No.
That's not normal at all.
In fact, there have been occasions at festivals or events, and I've seen another baker and gone, nope. Not today. Can't deal with this today.
That time.
It was you. No, we've met once. And
we met once when you first came out of Bake Off.
My first time.
Yeah, you were really nervous. Do you remember? You were really nervous.
I think I nearly threw up as well. Yeah. And
like marzipan kind of throwing up.
You'd have seen that. That was my first event. But do these events for you get any easier? Are you still a nervous person?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think a little bit of nerves are always good because I think nerves mean you care. I think when you're really nervous and you're kind of not sure about something, I think it matters to you, and that's really important. Yeah. And I never want to be in a state of, oh, this is easy and I can do this, and I want it always to feel like if you get those kind of like the butterflies in your tummy, it means it's special. It means something to you. And I hope I never get to a stage where I'm like, yeah, this is easy. I can do this. I want there to always be that kind of, this means something to me. I have butterflies in my tummy and it's special. So I always get a little bit of that, but this is like chatting to an old friend though, isn't it?
They're not even there.
Great.
You're all in your underwear.
This is great, yeah. This is great.
You, sassy at the front.
Not your type. No. I judged by the reaction.
The physical reaction.
Yeah, that was like a marzipan reaction. Ooh.
I was about to say, we need the resource at the front.
Get a sick bucket, quick.
Yeah. Have we got any questions that came in digitally?
I've got one I can throw in from the virtual crowd watching. Okay. Liz, very good question, and one. Now she's asked it, I thought, yes, it's a very good question. What happens to the food you cook on Bake Off? You go first.
Well, it gets eaten, all of it. When we did it, there was once you'd done the bakes, they would have a massive big wood board, and they would take all of our bakes, and obviously the board stayed the same, but the bakes got small, there was less and less people, so it only took up a tiny little end. So we would get the bakes and we would try each other's bakes, which was really stressful because you're like, oh gosh, that's good. Do you know those moments? Oh gosh,
no, it's worse when they're really bad and you go,
they were really bad.
No, you'll be fine.
You'll be fine. Like that moment. Yeah, but no, we tried each other's bakes, but then the crew used to have spoons in their back pockets.
No, yes, they do.
They did.
Cameramen eat a lot.
Yes, they do. But they carry those heavy cameras all day, and what you don't see is the behind. In front of us, what we see is sometimes up to sort of 40 people around, milling around, and you wouldn't know. But they all have spoons, the gannets, they all have spoons in their back pockets, and they all just gone.
If you want to feel sorry for somebody, feel sorry for the caterers that do the Bake Off event.
Yeah.
Just the most pointless people in there. They were very good, but you'd go in there to have lunch and be like, nah, all right, thanks.
All right.
That's a bit of cake.
Yeah, I'm full.
We had my first episode. The season I was on, the first one, Prue didn't live far away, and what was left after it had been attacked was put into a swill bucket and given to her pigs, and she had to stop in the second season because one of them got very sick. They got not diabetes, but a pig equivalent of diabetes. So stop. Yeah, but don't worry, it gets eaten.
Okay, yeah, it does. It all gets in, no wastage.
Nah.
No waste at all. Somebody always eats it. There's always Tupperware knocking around, so
Yeah.
it's going home or back to hotel rooms. So it does get eaten. I'm sad if it's your cake and it's just sat there, you're like, oh, are we keeping this for beauty shots then? Like,
yeah. Well, it's when it's just before the judging, you're about to go to film the judging, you look down and you think, no, I ate my cake.
Yeah.
Oh God, that's it, I'm
Time
done
to go home, time to go home.
Yeah, it's been a good run.
Yeah.
Time for your questions, guys. I'm going to throw one in myself because even the virtual crowd are being a bit quiet. So virtual crowd, sort yourselves out. In the offshoot one with Joe Brand, they're the most amazing cakes are baked for the people who have sent out. Who does those?
Oh, what's the lady that does those? I can't remember.
I can find out for you because she's done them since.
They are incredible.
Since the very beginning, yeah, she's done them.
Have you still got yours?
No. The cake, because it was, so I don't drink, and the cake is...
Yes, it's fruit cake.
It's fruit cake, and to keep it alive
till
the end of time, it's got alcohol in it, so...
I haven't opened the box in about 4 years, so probably should check that, actually.
Oh, is it still just there in a box?
Yeah, kind of...
I've moved house like 4 times since then, so I don't think it would have made it.
I don't know where mine is, actually.
But I did have the character, my character.
Yes.
The work that goes into creating this order, like, it's so cool. It's really, really cool. Yeah.
I should find mine.
Maybe you should check that out.
Yeah, because I didn't realise
I reckon there's some marzipan in that as well.
Oh. Can you imagine?
Oh,
I've been...
4-year-old marzipan.
Oh, stop
it. I will make you sick before I leave.
Look.
Oh my gosh, he's rumbling.
Yeah, it's
okay.
No,
Okay.
I won't eat it. Okay, next question. Right, shall we do... Right, we've got crowd control here, please.
Audience, come on, hands up.
Right.
We've got a few. There's a roving microphone. Can you wait for the microphone to come to you? So, Leanne, you pick someone.
I've seen you, and I thought, yep, seen you. I know you, and I know you. Keep it clean, Louise.
Of course. As a former winner of Bake Off, do you think you could approach Bake Off for them to redo their opening credits and add the missing raspberry to the cake so that we know it's perfect, please? Because there's been one missing ever since it started.
What's been missing?
So you know the opening credits? Yeah, and she's doing the chocolate ganache cake and they're putting the raspberries on.
Yeah.
There's a raspberry missing.
Is there?
Yeah.
Yes. Can you please approach them? You've done your opening cake and you can finish it off.
Really?
So when I never even
noticed that.
You know the box.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know the box kits they send out now. They sent out like you can buy a box kit and do a bake every week.
Oh, okay.
That one of them was a chocolate raspberry cake. Yeah, and they didn't give enough raspberries, and so I bought more from Tesco, and I did the final raspberry.
Did you?
Yeah, it's a bit like jam or clotted cream. Yeah, which goes first? It's bothered people. Clearly not Nadiya.
I had no idea. I'm gonna have to. I will watch that. Now that's going to bother me.
That's going to be your marzipan, isn't it?
Yeah, that is. That's going to bother me now. Now you can't. You know when you can't unsee something. Okay, we got to get onto this and get them to kind of sort this out.
Well, we're great mates with Paul, so it's going Right, this lady here. Hand up.
Happy to have you here.
Hi.
Nadiya, I've only recently joined Twitter, but I've heard that you got a lot of, I don't know what it is, backlash or whatever about the fact that you're a Muslim. And I just wondered how you cope with that and suddenly being thrown into a very, very public arena, as someone who obviously loves their family and is very good at what they do. How have you approached that and what's helped you to deal with it?
I think if you'd asked me 6 years ago, this has been happening from the get-go, from the moment my name was announced that I was going to be on Bake Off. There it was in a tabloid newspaper, Nadiya Hussain, housewife, and there were lots of comments about the fact that I must be on benefits and that I'm a scrounger, like really difficult stuff to read. And there was a moment where I did kind of think, oh my goodness, what have I done? I'm sure you must have felt like that. It's like, why have I just done this to myself? And really, I hadn't realized. To me, I was just doing a baking show, and I hadn't realized that I was different from everybody else. And the truth is, it was those kind of comments that made me realize that actually I'm not like everybody else. I am different. And we were having constant conversations about me being a Muslim, and it kind of was like, I just bake. Like, why can't I just be good at what I'm good at? And I think if you'd asked me this, if I'd been asked this 6 years ago, and I was very much kind of closed to the conversation and said, actually, no, I'd rather just talk about my baking. I don't want to talk about everything else. And actually now, my career is not just about baking and cooking and writing books and my cookery shows, it's more than that, because as a Muslim woman in the world of publishing and television, I have a responsibility to represent the people like me who don't see themselves in that space, and that's really important for me, because you ask me where I want to be in 10 years, that's where I want to be. I want to be doing what I love, but representing people like me who didn't see themselves represented in the public space. So that's really important. And as a mother of 3 children, it's my instinct was always to kind of protect or hide. And actually, there was moments where I did protect myself and didn't say anything, and I did hide. But actually, now when I see those comments, I kind of kill them with kindness. When I do respond, I respond the way I would anyone else. I try my very best to be the version of myself that my children see, because the truth is my kids will be a part of that world, and that's their currency. That's how they communicate with each other. And I want them to look back and say, actually, Mum, the person she's at home, she's the same person outside, and that's really important for me. So a little bit of kind of balance in that. I don't spend a load of time on social media. It's not my be-all and end-all. I have a wonderful career, a wonderful family, and I balance that all with not looking at social media all the time. So there are moments where I read it and I'm like, oh, I'm responding to this. And I do, and I kill him with kindness, or just tell him, mate, do you need some cake?
Yeah.
Like, are you really sad?
There's a rule. As soon as you have a glass of wine, Twitter goes away.
Okay.
Yeah. That's a good thing you don't drink.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you're going to have a drink, phone goes down.
Right.
Away. Over there, under the table. Because otherwise, yeah.
Yeah, I get wild after 10 o'clock. So I get really, I don't drink, but I get really, I say funny, my husband says not funny after 10 o'clock. And so I have to put my phone away. He's like, please don't ever put any of that stuff on social media.
No.
But yeah, so I'm like a werewolf at 10 o'clock. I just get really funny.
I might ring.
Yeah, ring me at 10.
Yeah. Well. But I think it's important to say as well, what you've done is face your own demons in order to, like you said, give other people, young Muslim people, young women a voice, and say, I'm British, I'm Muslim, I'm here, and we exist in television, and that's perfectly fine. Yeah, I mean, I had comments during the transmission of Bake Off, by people who are very well known in the public eye, saying things like, well, why is she doing a chocolate peacock? She should just be doing a chocolate mosque, or now they're taking over our British baking shows. And that's hard to stomach, when really, I've always felt like I felt like a part of, as a British person, I've never felt like I had to justify myself, but there was a lot of I had to constantly justify who I was, and part of me wanted to just be British and forget about the Bangladeshi part of me. And actually, why? I'm very much all of those different worlds that I straddle, and I'm very proud of that. And I don't try and prove any part of me. I am unashamedly who I am, and we should celebrate that, all of us. Yeah. I think I was talking with Jürgen, who's on this season, the other week, and it's actually because he's had similar, as has Giuseppe, who's Italian. Jürgen and I had a conversation about our past, and I'm actually more German than he is. So that's what I mean. Is that, you just intelligence and kindness when you answer questions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. You there, and you there. I spotted.
It's a bit simpler than the last question.
Hi.
Is that better? You're on a desert island. You've got one meal to eat until you're rescued. What would it be?
Oh, fish and chips.
What sauce with your chips?
Oh, fish and chips. I wouldn't have cooked it, because heck, I cook all the time. It's better just to get it in sometimes. But obviously, I'm on an island. Who's going to get me fish and chips?
No, that wasn't specified.
No,
Exactly. There could be a van there.
There's Deliveroo, and I can get my fish and chips. Fish and chips, mushy peas, curry sauce, and some tartar sauce, and a pickled egg for sure. Yeah.
So it's not a desert island; it's a peninsula with Deliveroo.
Yeah.
I'll come on the island with you in that case.
Yeah, you can keep the curry sauce bit.
What would your desert island dish be?
Pretty much the same, but just without curry sauce. I don't mind curry. It's just curry sauce from a chip.
No?
It's not curry sauce.
Gosh.
It's green.
Yeah, I know, but it's really, I like
Come on.
it. I really like it. I add more salt to it though, because like I love salt.
Yeah, it would be savoury.
Yeah.
There'd be no cake.
No. No, I wouldn't mind eating mess. That would be nice.
Yeah. So in hindsight, it would be a peninsula with a delivery and eating mess.
Yep.
Okay. We're not really suffering at all,
No,
are we?
no. Not on this island.
No, okay.
With something like coffee glazed focaccia, you must do a fair bit of experimentation. Have you ever experimented with anything and come up with something really shocking? Or anything that just didn't make it into the book, whether you choose not to put it in the book or whether you have a discussion with the publishers or the people you work with about how do you decide what goes into the book?
Yeah, that happens. I mean, it doesn't, like, so when I come up with these kind of creations like coffee glazed focaccia, it's never it's not a Heston moment for me. It's just kind of like, I like that, I really like that, and I think genuinely there are no Bunsen burners, there's nothing, it's not fancy, it's just like yes, that's it. You know, like I take 2 ingredients, get them married, they have babies, and that's it. And they're delicious, and that's it. And then you get that. And for me, that's just how it is. I just go down, I'm like, oh, you know what, I get the idea, usually when I'm in bed, and I'm like, oh, and then I go downstairs, and like, I'll be up at 6 o'clock in the morning prepping ingredients, and that's what happens. But when you do something like Bake Off, you do muck around with flavors quite a lot and think, oh, will this work, will that work? And there was a time when I did something with lavender and like blancmange type, anyway, there was a whole potpourri in your mouth situation.
It's like a Glade plug-in.
Yes, like a plug-in, like licking a plug-in. Cool. And then my son put it in his mouth and he said, and he did that, he put it in, but he didn't, I mean, it was so strong, he didn't even have to, like, move his mouth. He went like this, and he went, bah, and it all just kind of fell out, and he said, don't ever put anything like that in my mouth, ever again. And he wasn't even a teenager. And so I learned quickly that lavender isn't fun in baking, but only in tiny, tiny amounts. In the year before, in the previous book, I used lavender just once with blueberries, which worked really, really well. But that's it. Like, of course, we make mistakes all the time, and you know, I have kitchen disasters all the time. And you know, I did a liquid chocolate cake once that on a loose bottom tin, and I didn't put it in properly, crack all the way down, no cake, all at the bottom, mixed with chicken fat. And it was disgusting, but my husband ate it.
And that's how we have the chicken fat and chocolate cake.
Yeah, that's in there, special. But yeah, he did. He kind of scraped it, and he said, "We can eat this, right?" And this is the man who scrapes eggs off ceilings and eats them. So I was like, yeah,
They
whatever.
say opposites attract.
Yeah. He said, "Nothing custard can't fix," and he was off.
It's true, though.
That is literally his motto for life: is nothing custard can't fix.
Ooh.
Yeah, literally everything custard.
Okay.
Whatever. He's a northerner. He's a northerner.
Oh, he's a northerner.
He's
right,
a northerner.
Okay. Is that where your love of curry sauce comes from?
Yes.
Yeah, I
chip
thought there
butty,
was something unusual.
Chip butty. Oh, yes.
Chip butty, yes, it's not curry
no,
sauce.
Okay, fine. But yeah, mistakes. We have mistakes. I have mistakes all the time. And the truth is, doing these weird combinations and making mistakes in the kitchen is a big part of learning and kind of overcoming these situations. So you do become a better baker and you do become more confident. And I think if we didn't make mistakes, we'd be rubbish, wouldn't we? So it's important to make mistakes in any aspect of your life, whether that's in the kitchen or anywhere else. I mean, that's the only way you learn. That's what I tell my kids all the time. Although I tell them you need to be perfect.
Yeah, but you can make mistakes, but not in your exams.
And so exactly, just don't do that in your GCSE years. I'm very contradictory. That's why children hate parents.
You are your mother.
I am.
Yeah.
Oh no, don't say things like that.
Marzipan. I'm going to ask then, have you ever sit down the kitchen cabinet crying at 4 a.m. because you just couldn't take it anymore and you're really sad? I'm just asking for a friend, I haven't done it.
Yeah.
No?
What, during Bake Off or
no,
just in general in life? Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, I'm often found.
Not just me then.
By the dishwasher.
Yeah.
The warmth.
Is it warm?
The
Yeah,
dishwasher.
warm, yeah.
The dishwasher's warm, so often when I just need a break, I just sit there and it's like really toasty. I'm like...
No, but it hums as well, but it's when you nod off against it and then the tablet releases and you go...
No.
This is what happens. All right, this is what happens to us when you come out of the bake-off
Yeah,
tin.
it does. It does.
We did a bit of
Therapy.
Yeah, that
That's
helps.
what we work towards. Yeah.
Any more questions? 1, 2, 3. Okay, 4.
Let's take another audience and then I'll do online one.
If someone was considering applying for Bake Off,
No. Oh, yes.
is there something you've learnt having been on Bake Off that you would want to tell them, or any advice as such?
Don't do it.
Don't,
No,
Stephen.
do it. Don't listen to him. Listen to me. Do it. It's an experience you will never, ever get anywhere else.
No.
As crazy and as wild and as just bizarre and surreal as the whole thing is, it is once in a lifetime. And you do make friends for life. And you share this kind of, it's a shared experience with people from all, totally different walks of life that you would never have normally been friends with, that you get to say, that was our experience, that was our bubble, and we did that together, and that is pretty special. And I wish I had enjoyed it a little bit more, because the nerves do take over, and you do, once it's over, you're like, oh, it's a bit like pregnancy. You're like, oh, and then the baby's here, and then you're like, oh, I quite liked it when you were inside, and now you're here, and now you're here, and you need feeding, and I have to keep you alive. It's
Don't
a bit,
listen, darling.
Joseph, I love you, but I love you. But it is one of those things. It's such a unique experience. Would you not say?
I completely agree. And what I will say is, to anybody who's thinking about it, and that if I hear the words "I can't," or "I'm not good enough," lies.
Yeah.
Before this, I mean, I learned 98% of what I know now in the weeks building up to it.
Yeah.
Anybody, if you can make a Victoria sponge, you can go on the Bake Off. Quite frankly.
Yeah, it pushes you to find out what kind of baker you really are. I think that's the reality of it.
And the beauty is, they're not an elite crowd of people. It's not there's no fixing, there's no, I certainly wasn't groomed into it by Paul. I was regular, normal person. I was about to say normal person from Tring. Oh, there's such a thing, yeah, no. A normal person, and the people that go on there are everyday normal people. There's anyone in here could do it, and I would do it. Do it.
Except for my husband.
Please don't turn your husband on.
Yeah.
No. Hollywood, he never bakes. He does bake.
Do it. See you next year.
So I've got Mandy asks, where do you get your inspiration for your recipe combinations? I made your croissant ice cream last night, which got a star baker rating from my friends.
Amazing.
Where do you get the idea of croissant ice cream?
So croissant ice cream pudding, which is basically, it's just putting bits together. It's not even really baking. You buy the croissants, you butter the croissants, you put some lime jam on it, and then you take melted ice cream, because it's basically custard that's frozen. So I just work backwards and go, well, why don't you just melt it? And then you've got custard again. And then you pour that on top, chocolate chips, bake it, easy peasy. And so for me, I think a lot of, it all sounds a little bit, ooh, is that going to work? That's the whole point of writing the recipes and writing the book, is that you kind of, I'm there to do the work. I'm there to kind of put them together. And when I put them in a book, people say, no, that's never going to work. I'm like, go on, prove me wrong. And they prove me right.
You nailed it with your marshmallow fondant. And what was it you said about marshmallow fondant? Why would I make it? I'm a busy mum. I can melt marshmallows.
Exactly, because you can make fondant and get a thermometer and do all of that jazz. But the truth is, that's what fondant is, essentially marshmallow. So if you take it back a step and melt it, and then you add icing sugar, you have fondant. So I think my brain kind of works backwards, and then it goes forwards, and then it goes backwards. And I celebrate the fact that my brain does that, because it allows me to create these recipes that my children enjoy. And when they put things in their mouth, they're always trying to guess. They're like, sometimes I'm just making a beef burger. It's just a beef burger, and they're like, what is that? I'm like, kids, today it's just beef. And they're like, oh, okay. So they're used to me mucking around with things.
Yeah.
So,
Are they always on guard? Like,
a little, they're always kind of like, they're never fully sure what I'm going to put in, but that's what I love. It's edible. It's edible.
The Russian roulette of dinner.
Yeah, they love it, but they love it, and I think it makes our dinner times a lot of fun. And that's what it's like when I write the recipes, and I think, oh no, is anyone going to like this? Now I've started to believe that actually they are really good recipes and people do enjoy them. And if it sparks your curiosity, isn't that just a wonderful thing? So Yeah, so a lot of my great ideas come from me in the middle of the night, so.
I now have this vision of, and if anybody's watched The Vicar of Dibley, you'll know who I mean when I say Letitia Cropley.
Yeah.
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 It's pineapple cake.
Yeah.
Mouthful with Marmite.
Yeah. It's a bit.
What do you think?
Yeah.
This lady here, sorry, run.
I just want to know who, I love reading your cookery book. Whose cookery books do you love reading, and who's professionally your inspiration apart from your family?
I absolutely love reading Nigel Slater's books because he doesn't just cook, he writes, and he's quite, he wrote in his new book about brown bread, like an ode to brown bread, and I love that. Like it was just a beautiful thing to read. For me, his books are the kind of things that I take to bed and I read in bed because they're just romantic, and they're so beautifully written.
His voice is like, he has that ASMR voice.
Yeah.
You know, when you're watching, you think, I've forgotten what you're making, but just carry on.
Just carry on, and he just does it. He makes it look really, he makes everything he cooks looks really romantic. There's something, I just love the kind of ease and the simplicity of the way he cooks. And I've always loved watching him on television. It's really bizarre because I can't say that I ever watched anyone that I thought, oh, I think I'm a little bit like that person. You know, I never felt like I could relate to anybody on television, but I also really loved simple shows like, you know, Ready, Steady, Cook with Ainsley. Loved all of that idea. And I think a lot of how I cook feels really close to shows like that because Ainsley was fun, he was lively, he made cooking look like a joyful thing. Even now, the whole hip rotation thing. Like, has he done Strictly yet?
No, not yet.
Oh, he should.
Yeah. But but there'd be no competition with that. Come on, it's
I know.
Ainsley.
I mean, have you seen those hips?
Yeah.
But you know, I used to watch Ainsley, and he felt something about the way he cooked felt really familiar. And he made it look like a lot of fun. And so I'd watch Ainsley, but I'd also remember watching Delia over Christmas. But it never.
She's getting close. She's defrosting.
Yeah, is she now? Right. Okay.
Next
her
month.
and Michael Bublé. Yeah.
Oh.
But yeah, I used to watch her, but it never felt like I was anything like her because she had this oven in the wall, and we had a stand cooker. So you know, for me, she felt quite a world away from what I would ever do. So, but yeah, I love watching. I remember watching Lorraine Pascal for a long time.
Oh, she's good.
Ina Garten. Yeah, so it kind of varied over the years. And the fact that people get to watch my shows is like a bit like, what? How am I doing that? That's just like
James.
Yeah.
I saw there's another one there. Another one there.
I just wanted to find out if,
Right, okay.
Hi.
I just wanted to find out if you got a preference as to whether you cook sweet, design sweet things or savory things. And also I wanted to know when you're going on Strictly.
A little bit of both. Cooking was something that I've done since the age of 10. So I've been really confident in the kitchen doing savory dishes with my dad from the age of 10. And baking was something I only really took up when I was 21, so not very long, because I am only just 21. So I haven't been doing it that long. But yeah, it wasn't something that it's really bizarre because cooking, I cook to feed my family, but baking, I always kind of attached, it's always felt like therapy for me because it's so, like when you're baking, you can't have distractions, you can't kind of bit of this, bit of that. There's a recipe, there are timings, and you've got to fit that in your day. So for me, that's always really been kind of my therapy, and I couldn't really pick between the two, but when I'm really exhausted and need some sort of like just switch off, it's always baking. It's always going to be pretty special because I suppose cooking for me has always been feed the family.
Yeah.
Equally, the two, I love them both, but baking's always going to be a little bit extra special, I think.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Especially when you're following a recipe because you're like someone's already done the work for you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's work done.
I saw somebody there. Is this the last one? I think it's the last one.
You said your mum's your biggest critic. Do you have her around for Christmas? And if so, what do you cook her so she's happy?
Oh, she's such a pain. She's such a pain. Like we invite her, but like if she doesn't come, we're like, okay, no problem. But so my I don't celebrate Christmas in a traditional sense. I don't have a tree and don't do the presents, any of that. But my birthday is on Christmas Day. And yeah, exactly. My dad used to say, it's you and Jesus, my love. You and Jesus. So yeah, he did. Tell my very mean older sister said, just tell her it's about Jesus and it's not about her.
I think on Christmas Day, going forward, I'm going to have a statue of Nadiya.
Yeah, could you?
Instead of a nativity, I'm going to have Nadiya.
Just me in
just
the
a little
corner
Barbie
somewhere.
doll.
Yeah, but my sister's birthday is on Christmas Eve, and she was born the year before me. Yeah, no television. So I don't know. Anyway, if my mum had a child every year for 5 years, so we're quite a busy household. So at Christmas, we tend to kind of come to my house, but everybody cooks a little bit of something. So my sister-in-law is English, and so she always does cauliflower cheese.
Oh,
oh, another one. Is it another one?
Just why? It's like the plainest vegetable. If it's good cheese, sort of, you might just have cheese sauce.
Yeah, but you know, she'll do a cauliflower cheese and roast parsnips, and then my mum will do a biryani, and we always let her make something because then she can just eat what she's made. She doesn't have to complain about everything else. And we'll have fruitcake, you know, we'll have pudding, we have turkey, so everybody comes around to ours. My sister's married to a Punjabi guy, so she'll make gorgeous brown rice and chapli kebabs and stuff like that. So it's very multicultural in our house, and it's all about me and my sister. So we get all the presents. It's great. It's wonderful. But yeah, we always tell her, if you want to eat, make something, Mum, because you're going to complain about everything else. But she says, I promise, I won't complain. But you see her kind of throw things around on her plate. We're like, oh, she's so difficult. But we love her. We love her. We wouldn't have her any other way. No. She's good at dishes as well, so. And she looks after all 14 grandchildren. 14?
Oh, I thought 11 was bad.
No, we're on number 13 and 14 are on their way very soon, so she will look after all 14 at once. Yeah, she's a grafter, is my mum.
My mum struggles when her adult children go near her.
Really?
I'm just overwhelmed, darling.
Your kids?
Yeah. No, Mum's good in the kitchen with the grandchildren. She has actually said the words, what's this one's name? What's this one?
Really?
I don't know, don't ask me, they're
I don't know.
They're not my children. On that note, I think I'm going to end it there.
Before we finish,
go on.
What's happened to the cake?
What happened to the cake?
Or what's happening to it? What will happen? Because I wonder whether we... are
we
breaking all rules by cutting it up and giving it out with signings?
There's quite a lot of people here, aren't there? Well, I'm going to say there is some... there is the focaccia, the focaccia at the back. I will say one thing, though. It tastes delicious, but don't put it in the Kenwood and walk away and ring your mum for 15 minutes because it gets a bit tough. That's all I'm going to say. The recipe is perfect.
The recipe's great.
The recipe is great and it tastes delicious. But
it's the baker to blame.
It's the baker, yes. So we can blame Judy for this one, waffling on about soft and nonsense for 15 minutes. So there's some of that has walnuts in. Please do not eat if you're allergic to nuts. They were both made in a domestic kitchen, which I cleaned because I am obsessively clean, but eat it at your own risk. By the way, there's a finger mark in it because someone nearly killed me.
So we'll do that at the signing table.
I'm going to go take this backstage and cut it into 1,000 small pieces. And
okay.
All right.
Fantastic.
But they are fantastic recipes. Sorry, the point of this was these are incredible recipes, absolutely delicious, and it was fast. It was actually really, really fast. Yeah. I did the bread this morning, so
brilliant. Brilliant.
So from me and from Tring Book Festival, I just want to say thank you so very much for joining me today.
Honestly, thank you.
And a huge thank you to Stephen for we're so lucky to have Stephen. Stephen would have done the interview with the Hairy Bikers, which sadly didn't happen a few weeks ago. But any cookery events we've got a shoe in for an interview, which is brilliant.
If anybody wants to see me as equally, by the way, when you met the Queen, this was me meeting my Queen today.
Oh.
I was so nervous.
Yes. And yes. Stephen does take orders and stuff. So yes, do you actually ever do private orders?
I am one of 6 kids. Are you kidding? With the grandchildren involved. Do you know, I remember doing like 2 or 3 birthday cakes a month. It's like, I don't have time for anything else apart from work and making their birthday cakes. So yeah.
That's all I do.
That's exactly.
And they pay no money.
Nothing.
That's the answer I expected.
They have no money.
Babies.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you so much, audience, for coming. We are now going to do a book signing. So in the foyer on the right is where Nadiya is going to be. The shop is on the left, and you can obviously buy, I know many of you have already got copies, but you can buy more from there. That's it. Thank you very much.